welcome back to my channel and happy Monday. Happy Labor Day to those of you who live in the United States. As you can tell from the title of today's video, we are continuing on with our Habits for the Productive Writer series. This is episode 2. I will link episode 1 up in the cards. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much for all of your positive feedback on that first episode. It feels really good knowing that I'm creating content that's really resonating with you guys and helping you, so it makes me even more excited to share my productive habits as a writer in the hopes that they're ones you can implement in your own days and your weeks to live a more productive and fulfilled life. Before we roll on into this video, I do want to remind you that my newest self-study course, Conquering NaNoWRIMO, which is your foolproof guide to writing 50,000 words in 30 days, today is the last day to get that course at the 50% off discounted rate. So it's a 35-page detailed strategic workbook, the exact one that I use every year when I'm about to head into NaNoWRIMO to write my first drafts, 4 exclusive weekly pep talk videos for the month of November, and an invitation to an exclusive live stream event with yours truly, where we'll do a Q&A. I'll share any new tips, tricks, or hacks that I've discovered along my NaNoWRIMO journey this November. This program is valued at $200, but today is the last day to get it for $97. So even if you're not thinking about participating in NaNoWRIMO this year, this program and this course is still a great way to help you get that first draft down on paper. I will leave the link in the description box below, so make sure you check it out and take advantage of that discount before it goes away. Okay, so in episode 1 of Habits for the Productive Writer, I talked about a habit of writing at the same time every day, getting into the habit of actually sitting down and writing around the same time every single day. And that really worked for me while I was participating in Camp NaNoWRIMO in July, because I was working on the first draft, or the first half of the first draft, of the third book in the Shadow Crown series, and I really needed to kind of get my act together and schedule in some writing time and form a habit, build a habit of actually writing around the same time every single day. So the next habit that I want to share with you is one that has honestly changed my life for the better. And I think fellow procrastinators will understand what I'm talking about as soon as I tell you what the habit is. And that is to use your creative fuel in the morning and to get the hard stuff done first. So if you've never heard the term creative fuel, it's a sort of spin-off that I made up that's based off of Marie Forleo's. She's the first person I heard say it. She called it cognitive fuel. So in a lot of her talks and her videos, Marie Forleo talks about how we only have so much cognitive fuel in the day. And in the morning, you are obviously the most refreshed, the most awake, so you wake up, and if you're sitting there scrolling on social media or you're doing mindless chores and tasks, you're using up all of that precious cognitive fuel, or what I like to call that creative fuel. And you're basically wasting it on something that isn't as important as something else that you really need to get done that day. And most likely it's probably going to be the thing that you tend to put off throughout the day. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to call cognitive fuel creative fuel, but essentially they're the same thing. Now, at first this was a hard concept for me to grasp because I am actually a night writer, so I feel most creative at night. So this was very difficult for me to say, okay, I need to utilize my mornings in a better way because that's when I am most refreshed and most awake. Because it is true, as the day goes on, I do start to get a little bit tired, and while my creativity might be heightened at night, I noticed that my energy levels are lower. So I realized what I needed to do was find a way to make the most of my mornings, to really take advantage of them, and also that cognitive and creative fuel that you have right when you wake up. So there are 2 things I started doing the night before that have really helped me to make the most of my mornings and to really utilize that creative fuel. And that is to, number 1, make a to-do list of the things you need to do the next day. So make sure you do that the night before, write down everything you need to do. And number 2 is to put a star next to the items that require the most energy or require the most cognitive or creative fuel. So something that really takes a lot out of you. It takes your full attention, your full focus, and it takes a lot of creativity and brain power. Once you have your list of your things that need to get done, and you've also starred which things will take the most brain power, then when you wake up in the morning, you have to make it a point to do those things first thing in the morning. Don't put them off, don't procrastinate, and you're probably thinking easier said than done. right? And it is true in the beginning. It is hard to kind of get moving and get going on those things that maybe you're kind of dreading a little bit, or you don't really want to do, or maybe you feel like you don't exactly have the time because you have to go to work and you really don't feel like waking up an extra hour earlier. But I will tell you right now, as someone who's been doing this for a month straight, waking up and getting that difficult thing, that hard thing that maybe I don't really feel like doing, or the one that requires a lot of brain power, getting that done in the morning has changed my life exponentially, because I have so much more time to focus on other things, and I don't feel like I'm going through my day kind of like, oh gosh, I still have to do this thing, I still have to do this thing, and it's almost like being more reactionary. I don't like to be reactionary in my life at all. I like to be proactive, as you can tell from this series, because we're talking about productive habits. I want to be proactive. I want to feel in control of my life. I don't want to feel like I'm constantly reacting to something. And so that's why this habit has been so instrumental in my life. It really has changed it. Like, I'm not just saying that. It really has changed it, and for the better. So I'm going to give an example of something that I recently kind of went through or struggled with as a writer. So I'm going to share what my kind of difficult task is, or the thing that requires a lot of brain power, that I would wake up in the mornings and think, oh, like I should get all this other stuff done first, and then I can do that later on in the evening. And guess what? A lot of the time it didn't get done. And I knew something had to change, because I have deadlines. I have things that I want to achieve, books that I need to get out there. So the one thing I was really struggling with over the past month was editing and proofreading my final draft, or we say it's the final draft. I feel like it's never the final draft, but really editing and proofreading one of my drafts for Renegade Crew. I was really struggling with this because as a writer, I'm someone who actually enjoys the writing process. The drafting process is really fun for me. I like getting the words down on paper. That's the easy part for me. The more difficult part is editing. Editing is fun because I feel like that's really when your story comes alive. You can tie everything together. But in tying everything together, and especially since Renegade Crew is a sequel, it was really, really hard. Because not only did I have to go through my first outline for Shadow Crown to make sure I tied up all the loose ends, I also had to look at I almost said the title of the book, and I haven't announced the title of the third book in the Shadow Crown series, but that third book, I had to go through that outline and make sure that I was foreshadowing enough in the second book, Renegade Crew, to ensure that it would lead into that third book. So that was a bit of a struggle for me, because you really have to put your focus on that. You really need to go through the outlines. You have to read everything in great detail and mark down all the things that you need to add into your next book. And because I didn't like doing this was something that I put off until way late in the evening after I'd gotten everything else done. And by that point, I was just zapped. I mean, I was creative. I could come up with ideas, but the thought of actually getting them down on paper and sitting there with my notebook and writing everything down was just, it was miserable. All I wanted to do was just watch Netflix or read a book and go to bed, have my nights be peaceful and not put this pressure on myself to get something done that probably should have been done in the morning when I was wide awake. So because this was difficult for me, this was something that I didn't fully enjoy doing. It's not that I dreaded it. I don't know. I felt like since I'm a night writer, I wanted to do it at night, but it's different from drafting. Editing is very different from drafting. So I knew I needed to change up my routine and my schedule a little bit and make time, like carve out a block of time to do my edits and proofreading in the morning. So that's exactly what I did. Just like I had scheduled blocks of time in my calendar for when I was drafting the third book in the Shadow Crown series during NaNoWRIMO, I did the exact same thing for editing. I just switched it from night to morning. Just to give an idea of what my morning routine normally looks like, of course, I wake up, I try not to check my phone, because that's the first thing I've learned is social media you can really go down the wormhole with social media in the morning. And I feel like that sort of sets your tone for the day, because you've just woken up, you're refreshed, and you're sitting there scrolling and taking in a bunch of junk, to be quite honest. That's what it is. And I don't want anyone else to be able to set the tone for my day. I want to set the tone for my day. So I'm very good about just shutting off my alarm and then setting my phone on the table. And then immediately I will go into the kitchen and make myself a cup of coffee. Once I do that, I go and grab my journal as well as my Daily Mantras book by Shannon Kaiser. I will sit down and journal. I'll kind of just journal through my intentions for the day, how I'm feeling that morning. I'll really pay attention to my body and what it's telling me, to my mind. And then I go ahead and do some meditation, because this is another thing that I don't want to say I don't enjoy doing it, but it's hard for me. It's hard for me to sit still because I'm very go, go, go. So I make sure that I sit down and I sit still and meditate for at least 10 minutes. I've been using the Calm app, which I absolutely love. And after that, I will get a workout in. So either take Denali for a walk or go upstairs in my little home gym I have up there and do some strength training. So after I work out, I obviously hop in the shower, I get ready, and that's when my day actually starts. But the first thing I've started doing before I hop on any calls or start to get any work done is to sit down and actually do my editing. And I really like doing this because I felt like I had a very productive morning routine, because not only did I wake up, have my coffee, not look at my phone, journal, meditate, shower, and get ready for the day. But I've also gotten something that's really difficult for me to do, which is to edit and proofread my manuscript. I've gotten that out of the way, or at least I've gotten a large part of that out of the way. Sometimes I would only have enough time, depending on the length of the chapters, to get, only a certain amount of it done, and I would have to continue on later in the day, which was fine. But I felt productive and felt like I was starting my day off on the right foot because I got something done that was hard for me. And the way I stuck to this habit was making sure that it was written down in my planner and doing the exact same thing I did for my habit in episode 1. Having electronic reminders going off on my phone that are synced to my Apple Watch. It was all the same type of thing, like setting up those triggers and those reminders to remind me to go do this. It was just that they were happening in the morning instead of in the evening. And I found for this particular habit that I didn't necessarily have to set up like a mini reward or anything like that after I'd completed it, because it was so early in the day. So it gave me this momentum to keep going and to push forward and to continue on with my day. And I felt like the other things that I had to do just came so much easier because I wasn't, in the back of my mind, like our subconscious is a crazy thing. And if there's something you need to get done that you haven't gotten done yet, I feel like it just sits there and lingers and it gnaws at the back of your brain, like you need to do this, you need to do this. And so you feel more rushed and stressed out and pressured throughout the rest of your day. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that using your creative fuel and your cognitive fuel in the mornings will only allow you to have a more smooth and free-flowing day. You'll be able to find those more joyful moments and you won't feel so stressed and pressured to get things done, knowing that you already have something that was really difficult behind you. And you'll also have that momentum to just keep going throughout the day. And it's actually kind of nice as a night writer to have my nights to myself again. I'm not thinking to myself, okay, it's 7:30 at night and I need to go write. Unless it's something I want to do, that's different. But when when you know it's something you have to do, it's a little bit different. There's a different type of pressure around it and different type of expectation that I put around that. So it's been very nice to get the hard stuff done in the mornings, to use that creative fuel in the mornings. And it's something that I will continue to do. So that is it. That is all that I have for you today for this second episode of Habits for the Productive Writer. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and also leave a comment down below. Let me know if you have implemented the habit from the first episode, if this is a habit you're going to really take seriously and start doing. I would love to know what you guys are up to, so make sure you leave a comment down below. And speaking of Renegade Crew, since that was the book that I was talking about and referencing throughout this whole entire video, Renegade Crew is actually up for pre-order on Amazon US and UK, and that book is going to be released on Tuesday, October 9th. I cannot wait to share this second installment in the Shadow Crown series with you guys. So if you want to pre-order it, make sure to check out the links in the description box below. And to take advantage of that discounted rate for my newest course, Conquering NaNoWriMo, make sure to check out my website at KristenMartinBooks.com. You can find a bunch of information about all of my books, courses, programs, events that I've got coming up. Also make sure to check out my other website, thatsmarthustle.com. That's more of my personal development kind of growth space. So that's where you can find links to my podcast, other webinars and programs. So if you're into bettering yourself personally and professionally, then I would highly recommend checking out thatsmarthustle.com. The week this video goes up, I actually will be flying to Bali. So I will be attending a writing retreat as a guest influencer. I'll be teaching some workshops in Bali. I will also be stopping over in Japan, so I'm going to be gone for a little while. I don't know how active I'm going to be on social media, but make sure you're following me on Instagram, because as soon as I connect to Wi-Fi, I will make sure to post Insta stories and some really cool photos from my travels. And not to worry, I have pre-filmed all of my videos for the month of September, so those will be going up so that way you guys are not left without any content. I hope you guys have an amazing day or evening, depending on where you are in the world, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!